Stormcrow. They were a high-quality stenchcore, crust punk, and doom metal band from Oakland. They got a lot of respect from its audience worldwide. You are talking about a heavy band. Everything sounds massive and powerful. Lots of rumbling, a few sludgy moments, but there are even some faster moments that are full of sledgehammers. The vocals are really powerful. They sound like hardcore punk vocals if growled. I mean, there are plenty of crust bands where the vocals are just there and don't really add anything, but they add some stuff here. Anyway, they released 4 splits and 1 EP. It's a shame they never released a full-length album, but they've given us plenty to slam Mosh to. We have their Enslaved in Darkness EP. Stormcrow seems to get their influences from a lot of different places. Not just Bolt Thrower, but from other doom and death metal bands. On this EP, they would play faster than they ever would again. We have the title track, which kills you. Meaty, crushing, and dark. That is the tone of this EP. They're fast, but they're insanely heavy. Then you have the song Anguish Existence, which sounds mutated. Now, Baleful Conception is my favorite from here. It's heavy, destructive, and slower, but it also features some cleaner guitars. New Messiah's intro sounds very similar to the guitar intro in Enslaved in Darkness. Actually, it is the same intro. All 5 songs are pretty ominous, and I think that this is the place to start for them. That is if you want your skull dozed over. The Stormcrow and Skaven split. Skaven recorded The Swarm back in 1996, but it wasn't released until this EP came out. Skaven was a powerful band, so this could be considered a stay heavy from beyond the grave. It sounds a bit sloppy, but it's cool to listen to. Definitely not something I would have put on the Dystopia split, but it's a nice addition to their catalog. Now, Stormcrow is appropriate for the split because they're similar in sound and they're very similar in their look. Their song Final Plague is actually better than Skaven's song. It's heavier, tighter, and better put together. Of course, we have some raspy, harsh vocals, courtesy of Brian. Nuts Crust, with a Death Doom hint. Then we have the Stormcrow and Sanctum split. Holy hell, it's an elephant kicking you in the balls with its heaviness. Cycle of Extinction starts off the Stormcrow side. It has plenty of D-beats and stomping riffs. This time it sounds like heavy crust and doom metal. It's like Stormcrow sometimes changes their sounds a little bit depending on their influences. It's like they might be in the mood to write death doom, they might be in the mood to write crust, they might even be in the mood to write just pure old Bolt Thrower style death metal. Just picture His Hero Is Gone mixed with early Amoebics. Beneath the Earth is an even better song. It's one of the more memorable Stormcrow songs, I would say. It's faster and galloping, so be sure to bring your sword and armor to the battlefield. Then you have the song Dead Dreams. It's the best thing on this disc. Quiet and clean at first, but then a cannon goes off, and Isengard is under attack. It's absolutely miserable, but it's crushingly heavy. Uh-oh, Age of Ruin is the beginner to the Sanctum side. Now, the Sanctum side is stuff that was recorded before they released their first full-length album. So they're not as crusty on this split as they would become. However, I do think that the Sanctum side is actually better than the Stormcrow side. This is because Sanctum's side is actually a little heavier than Stormcrow's, but it's also faster. Also, the songs are shorter, so it's a little easier to listen to. Notwithstanding the sloppy drumming on the Sanctum side, this is a really solid split. It's definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of the genre. Then we have the Stormcrow and Massgrave split. Massgrave is grindcore and crust. They contribute 9 brutal songs to this thing. Really fun D-beat stuff from Vancouver. Not to be taken lightly, it's insanely heavy and they're a gnarly live band too. Now, Stormcrow is the same Stormcrow on this EP. World Downfall is still the theme, but there's more of a metal take and less to do with the punky sounds that they usually do. The Science of Tyranny is the best song from the album, and it's probably because of the galloping riffs. Now, it's important to note that the CD has 5 more songs than the vinyl version, which sucks. I mean, why couldn't they have just put the whole thing on the vinyl? But I'll say this about the vinyl, at least it's got this cool gatefold. Looks like a Dystopia album. And then we have the Sacred Death split with Laudanum. On this split, we have more doom metal from Stormcrow. In my opinion, we also have Stormcrow's best vocals. They're just more growly and projected than usual. Not to mention the reverb on them just makes them heavier somehow. The second song would be more death metal influenced. Now, I find Laudanum's side to be more enjoyable and entertaining than on their album, The Coronation. That's because on that album, I just couldn't really get into it because there was just too much noise, too much wind effects, and here they're playing more musical things. Their guitars are tuned to A, so expect some extreme heaviness. Like usual, Laudanum isn't very vocal-driven, but it's really killer, sludgy doom. Of course, the sound effects are there too. We have the squealy guitar on Omega, and we also have the wind and machine sounds on Transfiguration. In fact, Transfiguration might as well sound like a noise track from an Asunder album. It's a solid split. The last thing that Stormcrow would ever release would be the Coffin split. Just look at that giant squid on the artwork! Anyway, Stormcrow has a 13-minute song called Path to Defeat. Now, as far as the song title goes, perhaps it's autobiographical, if you put it in context. Gotta love the bass solos in the song. Sounds like I'm in a trench. The sound is the tightest and the most rehearsed that I've heard this band. There's the slower, sludgy sections, there's the faster crust sections, the breaking death metal sections, the battle atmosphere, and the clean melodic guitars. Basically every element of Stormcrow that there ever was. Everyone is at the top of their game. That poor drummer, though, his arms probably fell off after recording this. Stormcrow definitely went out with a bang. Now, Coffins is another respected doom metal band. Their songs, The Black Fog of Burning Flesh and Slaughter of Gods, are pretty abominable. Upon hearing Black Fog, just picture a factory with a cloud of smoke, but then smelling some flesh. Their sound is a bit more straightforward than Stormcrow. Now, Slaughter of Gods I think is a superior track because it's so raw. Now, because it has such a different sound from the other two songs on the album, it sounds more like a bonus track than an actual song. But for what it is, I enjoy it. Coffins is a great band, and they do a good job here. After the dissolve of Stormcrow, the members would go on to other bands, as most of Oakland's scene tends to do. Stormcrow is remembered as one of the world's heaviest stenchcore bands, and one that should have lasted longer.